and Hearties! Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast, the When Calls the Hallmarkies Heart to Heart edition. I am your host, lucky me, Cammie Clements, the Hooked Hardy, and I have my two lovely co-hosts. We're all back together again. Yay, team!
Yay!
So,
Yay!
There's the hopeful Hardy, Caroline.
Hey!
We missed you.
I missed y'all.
And Kaycee, and then there's Kaycee, the happy Hardy over there who's making me giggle.
The happy Hardy that's here. Hello, friends. And if you're not watching on YouTube and you just heard that weird thing that happened, I did a little heart motion. That's what Cammie's laughing at me for, because I did it kind of goofy.
She did it completely goofy. Do not undermine that. All right. So, new possibilities. Ooh.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, pun intended. Okay, so this was an episode that had a lot packed into it, I think. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of storylines that were kind of going all over the place, and there were a lot of lead-ins to the season finale. And just so you guys know and you have something to look forward to, I'm going to be writing a parody of Leanne Rimes' How Do I Live? And I'm going to be writing it about the season finale. How do we live without this show? So you have that to look forward to. You're welcome.
I won't sing.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk about Fiona first. Let's talk about Fiona. Yes,
let's go there.
Yes, let's go there. So we have a very cool, composed, happy-go-lucky, everything's right as rain Fiona to people, and she is fleeing to get away from said people so that she can fall apart and sob. Aww. And all because she had to go to a mysterious trip to San Francisco that she didn't tell anybody about, and she won't tell anybody what's going on with it because Clara came right out and asked her and said, what was it about? And just, family stuff, work stuff, nothing exciting. And then she gets that phone call that appears to be very, very threatening. She says, I do. Hello, Mr. Nichols. Yes, I do like my job. And then all of a sudden she's leaving. And I mean, obviously we saw from the preview that she's not gone in the next episode. She is still there, at least for that, but we don't know what's going to happen with that storyline. We don't even know if we're going to hear about why she is being threatened or blackmailed or something. It's just so, yeah. What did you guys think about that?
I kind of knew that was coming by like the last couple of episodes about like her being in San Francisco, but like I wasn't expecting it to be like that sad, like off the bat, like seeing Florence get upset and then like she's upset and I'm like,
gosh, I almost lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I thought it was family related. I didn't think it was going to be her job. Like I thought, like maybe her parents want her home, but
okay. What about you, Kaycee?
So when Florence is sobbing in the mercantile, and Fiona's all like honkadory, I was like, what? Fiona, like seriously, have you no heart? And then when she walks away from Carson and she just like starts crumbling, and then I was like, oh my word, what is going on here? Who is threatening Fiona? Why is she crying? Why is she leaving? Like, I have so many questions. I really hope we find out next episode, because she's become a very beloved character. I mean, she hasn't had a lot. but she's just so fun, and we need like fun in Hope Valley, you know? She just brings the fun and the ankles. So
Well, and the other thing about her is she's so willing to help anybody in town. I mean, the Christmas movie, she did everything to help get Faith and Carson reunited for Christmas. And when that looked like it wasn't working out, she said, I know I'm no substitute for Carson, but we could have dinner. You know, I mean, and the moment that Faith came into the Mercantile and Fiona's eyes bugged out, I thought you were in Hamilton. It's a long story. Immediately, well, how can I help? You know, she's so eager. She's so eager to help. And in this episode, how many times did she try before she reached the number that was Lee's sister?
18.
That was so
18.
sweet. Oh.
18. She tried 18 times before she got a hold of the number that led Lee to his sister. I mean, that's no small thing, especially back then when there's no Google.
Right.
I know.
So, yeah, you know that this is breaking her heart, obviously, because of the way it's funny because even when she was saying, hi, Carson, and then she just ran a little too quickly past him, I knew there was something wrong because because it looked like she was fleeing. And then when she turned around and was crying, walking away from him, I said, I knew it. I was right. So what are you guys' predictions? What do you think?
Like, I think it's like something job related, of course, but I hope maybe about like mid part of this episode, like she gets to stay. Like, I hope it's not like the last minute of the episode, like collusion, you know. So like, I hope we know relatively early on, so then the rest of the episode can be about the triangle.
Solve that one. Let's solve that one so we can worry about the triangle. Okay.
I love Fiona. And I want her to stay.
Obviously, we love Fiona. All right.
I mean, I think she's gonna stay. She is isn't she on the poster? Her name's on it. Kayla Wallace.
She was on the Christmas and the season episode, like season poster, and her name's on it. Yeah.
So I mean, I feel that's an indicator that she is a semi-main character. If her name's up on there, so I think she's coming back. I think that maybe this whole I don't know. San Francisco, Mr. Nichols, the job quote unquote transfer, which I don't think is a transfer. I think that's fake. It's an excuse for Fiona to cover whatever's going on. But I honestly have no idea.
This storyline is reminding me a lot of Lucas in the beginning. He was completely mysterious. No one knew anything about him. And then, you know, we all remember the very end of that episode where he pulls the money box out from under the boards, the false bottom in the fish crate, you know, and just and this is really reminding me of that a lot. She seems to be suddenly enveloped in a lot of mystery. And the thing is, I don't have a single clue what could be going on. You know, I was racking my brain to think back to when she got featured in the newspaper article. Was there anything condemning? Nope. There was nothing condemning in there at all.
Do you think that article had something to do with like someone finding out where she is? And like, so maybe that's how someone found her and going to get her back to San Francisco, that article?
That's a very good thought.
I just thought of it.
It's totally possible.
Just popped up in my mind.
No, Caroline, that happened to me last week. Kaycee and I are just going along, and then all of a sudden something just popped in my head. I said, oh my gosh, I just thought of that. Do you remember that, Kaycee?
Yeah, I do. And I think I'm having that moment too, because I really had no idea.
Dear.
But y'all remember from season 1, the Kat Montgomery storyline?
Yeah.
Not that Fiona's going to be thrown in jail, but she might be covering for a brother or sister, and somebody might be threatening her.
The girl in the in the train station and that came into the saloon, maybe she's not connected to Fiona and not Lucas, or not whoever did we
Elias
not Mark.
O'Rourke.
Yeah, maybe she's connected with him and coming to see about Fiona, and maybe it's not about like with Gowan and stuff. Like I thought.
I don't know. I don't quite think that woman is connected with Fiona, because there was no one to show off for in the train station, and she asked Fiona like a total stranger, "Do you know where I could grab a bite?"
That's true.
So, yeah, I don't think that there's, unless she knows about Fiona but Fiona doesn't know about her. You know, that could be something. But yeah, we'll get to her in a minute, but that woman is up to something. You know, she's fishy. She's fishy.
Sure is.
All right. So I was going to save Lee and Rosemary for last, but let's go ahead and do them now.
Yay! I love them.
Well, and number one, Lee's okay.
Okay.
It didn't take anybody long to find out that he was okay.
We knew 1 minute in.
I am not gonna lie, and I know we had the little bit of a conversation about this earlier, but I was kind of like, that was kind of anticlimactic, because like literally 12 hours later he's fine, walking around being all hunky-dory and stuff. And I mean, like, for me, I'm like, all right, I'm a bit more of a realist, and I feel like a head injury like that, you're not gonna be playing ball with little Jack, but whatever. I feel like they've made it up in a sense, because we get to see deeper into Lee's past and all of that. So I'm like, I think I can forgive you for this ridiculous storyline of a crazy windstorm that's blown out of proportion, no pun intended. Oh. And then he's like up and fine. Like, no big deal.
Yeah, it did help. It did help their conversation about his past and his family. So I do agree with you there.
I mean,
that is true.
And he has always been the character that I'm like, okay, we know nothing about Lee. We know he has a brother. We know he has a brother who died. Like, that's it. We know he literally rolled into Hope Valley.
Oh. Yep, he certainly did.
Like, honky-dory Lee. He's marrying Rosemary. We know nothing. And I've said for the last several years, dive into Lee's story. And now I finally got it. Thank you, Brian Bird, Alonzo. I should go on and on. Derek, thank you for bringing it.
I wanted it to have been a couple of days, you know, the time passage. I did not like that it was the very next day. I said, no way that should have happened like that he would be. I mean, granted, he still looked ashen when Carson pulled back the screen, but I wanted there to be a time passage, and maybe after the title sequence, Lee wakes up. But I mean, literally in the first minute of the show, boop, he's up, and it was yesterday. Went, what? They left it so hopeless and bleak, and then it just the next day, nope, he's fine.
We didn't even get like Rosemary and Lee and Carson talking about like Lee, like in the morning time or something, you know, like in the next episode. I wanted them to be talking more about Lee, but nope, we just got him.
Listen, I wanted a montage, but that's apparently asking too much. So,
like Jack,
you and your montages.
My montages.
Hey, do not get me wrong. I love montages. So no, I'm totally with you there.
How long did it take Jack to wake up in the season 3?
Days.
Days
and days. Yeah.
So
And I feel like fever hypothermia versus being bonked on the head by a flipping tree.
Is that a technical term, Kaycee?
I like that.
Bonk. Bonk. Because he got script here.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, and I'm with you on that time. Like, obviously we can't get every single minute of what happens in Hope Valley, but it could have been Elizabeth saying, a week had passed since Lee's injury in the windstorm.
Or just talking to Carson and, Carson, it's been a week. When is he going to wake up?
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
and that would have been fine.
That
or like
takes
her
5
writing in her
seconds.
journal. Like her writing
Right,
in
that's
her
what
journal.
that's what Kaycee said.
Yeah.
One thing I will say that I really like that they did with the head injury is getting hit on the head like that can often cause a lot of things to be dredged up, and the way that Kevin Smith played the emotion and how he got so emotional all of a sudden, that I thought that was so telling of the head injury. And just not just in the sense that he lived through it and he felt lucky, but just getting hit on the head messes with your brain. And all of a sudden we see Lee getting so emotional in a way that we have not seen before. Even when he was talking about Patrick, it was very understated. But now, I mean, he's not blubbering, but Lee's not gonna blubber. But that's the most emotional we've ever seen Lee. He wasn't even that emotional with the infertility.
Kevin
And,
did a really good job.
I was going to say, I think, and I've seen a lot of his stuff. I've not seen any of his non-Hallmark stuff because I'm not really into like Stargate or anything.
Right.
I think he was in that, but I've seen a lot of
Eureka. He was in Eureka.
Yeah,
but he played a robot, so not very many emotions.
But I've seen a lot of his Hallmark work, and I think that particular episode really elevated him as an actor and really showcased his range, because he's really good with the empathy, like in Hello, It's Me. Really good.
Love that one.
He's really good with the empathy, and he's really good with like that fatherly dynamic. He's obviously really great with the funny with Pascal, and but this just really just showed the range of emotions. And I was like, Kevin, bravo.
Good on you, man. You know, the other thing that I thought was so sweet. So by the time he's playing ball with little Jack, I do think it's been 2 or 3 days since he woke up. And what I loved, and it hit me so hard, is Elizabeth asks, how's the search for your sister going? And he said, well, I was just telling little Jack here, I feel pretty good about it. And it occurred to me, he's talking to Jack.
Oh.
He's
gonna melt into the lake.
There you know. Now you stop that. You did that last week. Don't you dare.
Melting my heart.
But yeah, he's talking to Jack. He doesn't get to talk to Jack anymore, so he's talking to Jack through his son. And it really hit me hard, because he was getting so sentimental. He was not being sentimental because he was right there with little Jack, but it just, he's talking to Jack. Now I want to ask Alfonso and Derek and Brian, was that done on purpose? So, but yeah, that hit me. He's talking to his best friend. So,
his best friend.
Precious. Can I
do miss their bromance. I do.
I do too.
I do. Yeah.
And we didn't get enough of it, to be honest with you. I feel like there could have been more, but that's another story.
Sorry.
But can we just say about Rosemary and Lee?
That's where I was going.
Were you going in? When you go ahead. Go ahead. Can I go there?
Yes. Let's have it. see what I did there? See what I did there?
I see you. And I just thought it was so funny that he was totally expecting her to just chew him out.
Yes.
Which makes me think, like, I don't think he realized, like, the gravity of, like, and the weight of what danger he was in and what emotions he had put her through.
And Carson said that, I think. Like,
yeah, he said it's totally normal to forget.
Yeah. And like Pascal, how she played, like in that moment, she was so like, not bug-eyed, but she, like, the emotion of Rosemary was so unlike anything we've ever seen before. I mean, she nearly lost the love of her life, and she's standing there with, like, she's not crying, but her eyes are like almost misty, because like, I love you so much that I can't believe this all just happened, and you're standing here, and I'm so grateful. Just an overwhelmed feeling, I think, was that emotion. It was so good. I love that moment when she was like, not like crazy Rosemary, but like the loving, adoring wife. You know,
who's not going to lecture her husband because she almost lost him, and she's not going to waste her breath on something so petty.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Totally.
Very good.
What about you, Caroline?
I did like that, like how like it's like stone-faced she was, like, you know, and how like he didn't, like he was like so nonchalant about it, and like, are you gonna chew me out? Like,
expecting it. All right, let's have it.
I'm like, I'm glad she didn't get mad at him, though. Like, I'm glad she was sad. Like, she didn't, like, why'd you go there? Like you thought, like you would say to your husband, like, why did you do that? Like, she was like, she was sad. Like, she was still reeling from that emotion, I think, of like almost losing him. I think maybe a couple days later, if he would have said that to her, she might have been more willing to get mad at him. But in that moment, I think it was still fresh in her mind that like she didn't, like, she was just like, I'm just glad you're alive, you know.
So I want to talk more about Lee and Rosemary, especially dealing with the sister, in a minute, but I really, really want to go into Lee and Jesse for a minute. Oh my gosh. So the fact that Jesse raced out the door of the office but wouldn't leave the porch. He was afraid to approach, even with that whole group that had been there all night, even though it should have been longer. Excuse me. So, but that whole group that had been there all night supporting Lee and Rosemary, and just making sure that waiting to hear for any word, and Jesse comes racing out, but he won't leave the porch. And that he's just so happy that Lee is okay. And then when Lee shows up at the office, I wanted them to hug. There would not have been anything wrong with them sharing a brotherly hug there.
Like a pat on the back, like a quick tap, you know.
I mean, Lee put his hand on Jesse's sholdder, but I was like, pull him in, pull him in, but he never did. So, but I really, really loved what Lee did, how he turned it around. Because Jesse said, the only reason you were up on that mountain is because you were looking for me. And he said, the only reason you were up on that mountain is because I sent you. And I mean, I remember watching that and I went, whoa, Lee, good on you, man. You know, it's because, I mean, a lot of people would have said, no, it's all right. But no, Lee completely turned it around on himself.
Yeah. And that's the marks of a great leader right there. Just that line alone. That line alone. And like, we haven't really seen Lee, like, quote unquote, as boss. Like, we haven't seen him with his men, like telling him what to do or whatnot. Like, we've heard him give speeches about, like, I'm sorry, I can't pay you. And like him in the mill office and stuff. But like, we haven't seen him lead the men in such a way, or even like when they're searching for people, like he's usually just bopping along looking but not leading. And like, that just shows like the leadership in Lee and that character. and like he's really become probably like the one that everybody looks up to. Like he's slowly rising to that like elevation, because usually it was
he's
like
become the
Jack.
town sage. He's become the town
And
sage or
Bill.
something.
Yeah, like Jack and Bill were always the ones that everybody would go to. They would have the wise words. Everybody would look to their leadership.
Right.
And now like Lee is really, you know, stepping it up.
Totally.
And I thought it was just so sweet, like that Jesse was so worried about Lee, you know, like and how Clara was worried about Jesse. And I'm like, that was just so sweet, like how their dynamic was during that. But I thought it was like also sweet that like Jesse thinks of Lee as like his older brother father role. Would you say older brother or father? And like how
I would say brother.
Yeah.
I would say brother as well, yeah.
It was just so sweet, like their dynamic. It's not like boss, like worker. It's like friends worried about each other.
Yeah.
Well, and just like Lee said, you have no idea how much I needed to hear that, because right now he's not a brother to anyone.
Oh.
And he's not anybody's brother right now because his sister hasn't spoken to him in 20 years. So to be able to hear someone say that, you're like a brother to me, Lee. Right now, when he's feeling like it might be hopeless to ever be a brother again, it just man, I'm gonna cry thinking about it now.
Hope Valley's is a family anyway, like so like everyone has that close relationship, but it's nice to see two guys talking about it and not like Elizabeth and Rosemary or Elizabeth and Clara or like Faith, you know. It's two guys, you know, like who don't really show emotion that much. I haven't had a deep conversation.
So, fun fact, we are pretty good friends with our pals over at the Bubbly Sesh, Jax and Shaw, and they just interviewed Kevin Smith, and I was listening to it earlier. And on this note, so Kevin revealed that he improv that line, bringing it full circle.
No
Y'all
way.
have to listen to it.
The brother line?
When he said, that means so much to me, I needed to hear that.
You go, Kevin.
That's what brought it home.
Yeah.
You know, that's what, oh my gosh. Oh, Kevin, you're amazing.
I know. And he said that he basically threw it out there and hoped it would stick.
And apparently it did.
It worked.
It really totally worked.
I think without that line, it would have fallen
It wouldn't
flat.
have been, it wouldn't have been as meaningful as it was. And I love that they give them, I love that they give them that freedom to do that. The actors, like if they want to add something, like I'm glad the writers don't feel like it's my word. Say yes, my way or the highway. Like the actors know the characters more than anybody else, so they know the emotions they would have in that moment. And I love that he did that. Go, Kevin.
Yeah.
Well, and good for Aaron Buckles, because he just went right along with it. He just reacted appropriately and kept
that
going.
Was a genuine reaction.
That's a genuine reaction right here.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's go back to Lee looking for his sister. We find out that he actually has a sister, which is mind blown.
I just love the fact that Rosemary is looking at that picture and she's like, is that a cousin?
Yeah. Well, I have pictures with my cousins, like a group picture.
Yeah. I mean,
but not like that. Not like a professional one. It was like a mom or dad taking the picture.
Yeah.
Well, but the only kind of pictures they had really were professional ones back then.
Yeah.
Well, not your everyday Joe had a camera.
Especially way back.
Yeah.
When Lee was a boy.
Right. Yeah, precisely. Yeah. In the late 1800s.
Yeah, that's so weird to think about.
Yeah. So I loved I was not crazy about the fact that Lee was up chopping food and helping Rosemary with dinner. Like, sit down, man, go and rest. You know? It's like, you should not be up. You should not be chopping food. But I love how his emotion and the hit on the head kind of led him to the soul searching. I've been so lucky in my life. You, and I love that he just said you right off the bat to Rosemary. You, this town, my career, now my health. Life is a gift, Rosie. I'd be a fool to live it with any regrets.
Oh.
And it just,
I love when he calls her Rosie.
I know.
I know. It's so cute. So, the scene when he is calling the general store, number one, fabulous idea that he even had that idea to call the general store to try to track down. You know, it's all of these things that we as modern people don't think about. You know, we need a number. Okay, let's Google the name, see how many results we have. We don't think
Check
about
Facebook.
we don't actually think about tracking someone down, which obviously they had to do. And when that fell flat, Rosie did such a woman answer. Did she have any suitors?
Oh, yes.
I said, that is such a woman way of handling the situation.
That was a good thought, though.
Incredibly smart.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, there is no way that if he had been talking to Carson that he would have said
no.
that.
I mean, Carson, the doctor who couldn't figure out that Elizabeth was pregnant.
Duh.
Yeah. I mean, leave it to the women for womanly things.
Yeah,
absolutely. It reminded me of the end scene in Legally Blonde where Elle is the only one who figured out that Chetney was guilty because of the perm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Rosie is the one who figures out how to find her because she had a suitor. And I don't know if
are smart.
Yeah.
Let's take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. They're the good folks over at Skylight Frames. And right now, everyone's looking for the perfect Mother's Day gift. And it can be really hard to find the perfect gift for our moms, something that will be meaningful, but there's something they don't already have. It can be very difficult. And I recently was able to get my parents a Skylight Frame, and it was such a fun gift for them because it not only looks nice and is, a thoughtful gift, but it also helps them to connect with their family members and gets to see the photos of their family with greater ease. And so it's a really nice product. It's a digital frame where people can email you their photos, so they don't even have to download them or upload them onto the frame like a traditional digital frame. They can send the photos directly to your frame, so they could be out hiking or doing some activity and just with their phones upload it right to the frame and you could see it, which is really cool. The frame sets up in under 60 seconds. It has a very easy to use touch screen that allows you to connect with your wireless network, and it's an effortless system to send the photos from your family, and it just makes things very, very easy to stay in touch. It's a black frame that looks like a real photo. You can't even tell the difference between your other photos, your framed artwork, and it has a 10-inch screen. You can swipe through photos with your finger, and it has 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't love Skylight, they will offer you a full refund. So now, as a special holiday offer, you can get $10 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/Hallmark and enter code Hallmark. So this is a great thing that you can get for Mother's Day for your mom. And that's $10 off your purchase of Skylight Frame. Just go to skylightframe.com/Hallmark Hallmark and enter code Hallmark. That's Skylight Frame, SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/Hallmark.
I don't know if it was the hit on the head that made him not remember the guy's last name, or if it was just the fact
20
that
years. Yeah.
over 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
which means that she would have been still single when they were still talking, like before he left home.
he left when he was,
He was
18 years
18.
old, and she was 19.
Right.
Because
She's old. Yeah.
she was a
Because
year
she's 1 year
older.
older.
Right.
So then,
and so
yeah.
she probably married pretty soon after he left.
right.
So because they got married 18, 19, 20 sometimes, but you were an old maid by then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except for in Hope Valley, like you're in
Except for in Hope Valley.
you're in your 30s when you get married for the first time in Hope Valley. I should move to Hope Valley.
There you go. You'll be great. You'll be great. You'll be great. And then just the fact that he remembered that his name was Jake Tom because of Sawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he was from Olympia, Washington, because he was a really good athlete. And my father said that he was the Olympian from Olympia. Oh my God, that's brilliant. That is totally brilliant.
So smart. Can we real quick talk about him and his father and family? So
Sure.
Yeah. So obviously his brother passed away. We find that out.
Right.
They were
very young.
And he says that his family was never the same again.
Right. And then his mother died.
His mother passed away, which indicates that his mother passed away when he was a teenager, because he would have left when he was, because he
18,
said he as soon as he turned 18 he left, because it was kind of insequential.
Patrick died when Lee was about 10, I believe.
Yeah.
And so it could have been, we don't know how soon after his mom died. So it could have been 11, 12, or teenager. Yeah.
And then his father passes away
after he left.
After he leaves.
Right.
So when I first saw it, I thought his sister didn't tell him that his father passed away, and that's why he missed the funeral.
He found out.
Yeah, and then he missed the funeral. But then when I read it or watched it again, then I was like, wait, did he find out his father died and then he purposely missed the funeral, and that's why his sister's so mad at him?
I don't think so. I think that he didn't find out. He said, I found out later my father died. I missed the funeral. He missed the funeral because he didn't know.
Right.
He didn't know his father had died.
Which makes him, and I think I was confused because I was thinking like, okay, now I can understand why the sister is so angry with him. But now I'm back to like being confused again. Like, what is going on here? Because I feel like it was, I interpreted it both ways when I watched it.
I think she's just mad that he up and left the family, and we don't know what kind of rivalry and headbutting happened after Patrick died. And, because I assume that it was probably pretty bad for him to want to get out of there so fast.
Yeah. And never talk to his sister or never talk about her.
Yeah.
Even to your wife.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
You had to be bad for that.
Yeah. All right, ladies. Are we ready to talk about the triangle?
Oh, wait. One more thing.
One more thing. Okay.
So meeting Susanna, and she hangs up on him. Did y'all think that it was because she was shocked or because she was angry?
Angry.
Okay.
Angry. Like, he heard, boom, no, not talking to you. So and then she said one line to him the second time.
Okay. That was where I was going with that. I as much friction as there is between these two characters, I love that she calls him Leland because nobody calls Leland.
Yeah.
That's a sister thing to do anyway.
Yeah.
An older sister, motherly type of thing. And you know what? Okay, I'm having a revelation. I'm having an idea. probably may have felt that Susanna was trying to run his life, and that she was trying to be the mother in the mother's absence, and he couldn't handle that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, especially when you're a year apart.
It wouldn't be the first time. So that may have been one of the things that drove them apart, is that Susanna was trying to be the mother and trying to run his life after the mother died. Yeah. And no teenage boy wants that.
Yeah. Especially from your sister who is a year older than you.
Exactly. So there's an idea right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we'll find out next week.
Yay. Yes, we shall. Okay. All right. Are we ready?
Triangle time.
Kaycee, cut it out. Okay.
It's a cute one.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thought that I had with the first scene with Nathan and Elizabeth was, why is Nathan dressing? Why is he putting on clothes? He was buttoning up his vest. And I just went, what's he doing dressing in the jail? That was the first thought that I had. I was like, why didn't he dress at home? And then, they talk about, I'm going to the train station and the red surge would give you away. I'm like, oh, he's changing clothes. Got it. So.
I mean, it says a lot about Elizabeth to already know that without him having to say anything about why he's not wearing his red surge.
I think she's just used to him being a Mountie, and
that's exactly where I'm going with that. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
it's comfortable for her. Yeah,
she knows. #Team Nathan.
Oh boy.
I'm just saying, I feel like that's just another indicator of why they would be a good match. She knows the life of a Mountie. She knows that she's got that instinct of, it's just
Mountie business.
Go. Yeah. She understands it. So
it's true. So I thought that she was pretty bold. I thought she was pretty bold with her words. You're entitled to the way you feel, but please stop shutting me out. I'm not shutting you out. Oh, really? I was like, okay, we're getting a little here.
Yeah.
I was like, go Elizabeth.
And then completely out of nowhere, this was the funny thing, is she brought up Union City and Lucas. I thought maybe he would have brought it up or something like that, but completely out of nowhere, she says, you want to know how I ended up in Union City with Lucas? And then I love, we saw this in the preview, but his kind of sarcastic attitude. How? He asked.
And his face was like.
And then, and she said, he asked, be safe, out the door, and leaves him to take all that information in.
Yeah. I will say, it's very weird to me just because he doesn't owe her anything.
At this point, no, he really doesn't.
He doesn't owe her an explanation, and she shouldn't feel like she needs to explain herself to him either.
But he shouldn't be mad at her. I get she doesn't think he should be mad at her for just Nate or Lucas asked her. Why should he be mad about that?
They don't owe each other anything.
It's a whole slew. It's a whole slew of things. I think because I think we're all in agreement that she should have stayed in the cabin. By the way, does everybody think that that's the cabin that she gave birth in?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's also the same cabin where she learned how to milk a cow. So
no, what?
No, that's 2.
No, that's
it's
not
the hunter's
homestead.
Cabin.
They weren't they weren't in the. Well, no, I'm not talking about the set. I'm talking about the location. Okay, I thought you were saying that, in the show that's the same place. No, it's not.
Oh, no.
Okay, gotcha.
Aaron said no, but I think yes. How many cabins are in the woods?
And she says, I know the way. I'm like, how do you know the way? Because you went there when you were pregnant, in labor. What, Kaycee?
Okay, so there's another thing that just dawned on me too with this whole windstorm thing, and she's telling Nathan, like, I heard Emily. She did not hear Emily inside the cabin. She heard Emily when she walked outside the cabin.
She was getting impatient. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that's even more for Nathan. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Nathan,
in that argument,
Nathan had every reason.
Every right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
he didn't
had every reason to be
that harsh tone, but he did had he should have been mad. But I do.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, maybe he could have toned it down, but that's human nature. Like, okay, how many arguments have you had with a spouse and they're just like, rah! Or maybe you're the one. Like, it's not uncommon for someone to yell at you because they're so like freaked out.
They care so much.
And that's why they're letting their emotion out. Like, I mean,
Jack did do some irrational things when he was worried about Elizabeth.
Yes, he did. He lashed out. He lashed out a time or two,
And he was snarky, man.
Oh man. Jack was snarky.
That's the mouthy way.
Apparently.
All right, so let's move to the train station with Nathan and Fiona. I thought that was a hysterical interaction, and just I have to say
get behind me.
Yeah. I'll see you in town. It was
the way he said, like, get behind me. I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen?
No, he said the guy behind me. The guy behind me. What? Yeah, he said the guy behind me. Was he on your train?
I thought he said, get behind me. That guy was on the train.
Oh, no. He said, was the guy behind me, was he on your train? And
that sounds much better than my reason. So.
Yeah, it just, I have to, and say no more. I'll see you in town.
She's so cute. Yeah.
And then, we know that there's something fishy about that woman. And when she's in town and she hears Lucas call Bill Judge, she turns and looks, and I think they're accomplices. I think those two are accomplices.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh yes, most definitely.
And it ends with something happened to somebody because they got shot.
Well, that's next week.
My prediction.
Okay, so before we move to Lucas, let's go to the very end where I thought Nathan was going to ask her on a date, and I was incredibly wrong. So
I think we all were wrong.
I have an idea. I have a prediction for next week, but I refuse to say it because I've been wrong 2 weeks in a row. So I'm not saying anything about my prediction for next week. But it's so funny because both men, we'll get to Lucas in a second, but both men, they have these man of action reactions, and then they come back and apologize later.
Mm-hmm.
And
smart
yes, but I mean, once again, I think we are all in agreement that Nathan had nothing to apologize for, except maybe a slightly harsher tone than he needed to.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, are we ready for the last line? I just want you to be safe because you matter to me. Good night. Just like, huh? What? I mean, obviously he didn't say good night in that tone, but that's kind of how I took it. Like, you matter to me. Good night.
like I said it, like I can go, like I got it off my chest.
Oh my goodness.
It's so interesting though, because he has such a bubbly with his words with her. Like, he does not know how to talk to a woman.
No,
Especially Elizabeth.
But, and here's the thing though, it makes sense, because when they go to Mountie school, they're told, if we wanted you to have a wife, we'd issue you one.
Absolutely.
And so for Nathan, obviously, he's not thinking about he probably had not thought about getting married. He had young Allie to take care of. He had a sick mother. He had a dad that was in prison. He had a lot of other things on his mind, and especially being the guardian of a young girl, that is number one priority, is to make sure his niece is 100% taken care of. Absolutely. And so it makes sense as to why he's like discovering these feelings and he's acting this way, because he's likely, we don't know his backstory. Maybe he had a love that passed away or moved on or broke his heart or whatever. We don't know, but it just makes sense to me. Like, just seeing the entire Wayne Calls the Heart canon and what we know about Mounties and what we've seen about Jack, and we're not putting Jack and Nathan in comparison, it's just the profession that we've learned about through this series. Like, it makes sense. It makes sense as to why he's so like, I care. Or no, that's not I care. What was it? You matter to me.
You matter to me. Jack said I care. Yeah.
Yeah. Jack said I care. In season 1, he said I care. Yeah.
I hope we get Elizabeth saying something about like, oh, if they wanted you to have a wife, they would have issued you one. Like, I hope she says
that would be funny if she said something like that to Nathan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but may I add that when Jack said I care, he went back to business very quickly and see you soon. But before he did that, he had her by the arms. Thank you very much. He touched her.
Come on, Nathan.
We got nothing. I thought maybe Nathan would take her hand or something. I wasn't expecting him to kiss her. He's too shy. He's not gonna and things are too awkward right now. But that whole talk of instincts and everything, I thought that he was gonna follow his instincts and at least reach out and take her hand. And nothing. Poor Nathan. Poor Nathan.
One step at a time for him.
Writers, if you are listening, please, not another Mountie Molasses 2. We can't handle it. Speed him up a little.
If Nathan is the choice, and we have to go another 5 seasons for them to get together, oh yikes! it's gonna be agony.
That would mean more seasons, though. So hey, I would take.
Yeah, but I mean,
but still,
life doesn't end. Life doesn't end when you get married.
110%. That's just the beginning.
Yes, thank you very much.
And that's the other thing too. Like, I don't know why a lot of these like series, it drives me crazy. And it's not just Hallmark; it's other series too. They end like wedding end, and it's like, I want to know more. What are they going to tackle?
We want to see them as a married couple. Yes, absolutely.
Rosemary and Lee. I mean, it will work for Elizabeth and XYZ.
Exactly.
Whoever that may be.
Well, and speaking of XYZ, let's go. We talked about X. Let's go to Y. So I loved when Lucas approached her on the street. He didn't even say hello. He just walked up to her and said, "Refreshing and real, a unique, underrepresented voice that leaves me wanting to read more." I'm sorry. It's just what? My mother, huh? It's just the whole interaction just made me laugh. Okay, I want to know what you guys think, and then I'll tell you what I think. So, Kaycee, did she have a reason to be mad? Did she have a right to be mad?
Yes. Oh gosh.
Okay, if you are listening If you are listening, you need to switch over to YouTube and watch Kaycee and her hysterical reactions because I'm dying over here.
Like, I here's the thing. I know it wasn't malicious. It was pure gold heart. It was a very, there was no agenda with it. I really fully believe Lucas saw a talent. He was very excited. I mean, of course, he is falling in love with Elizabeth. He wants to show her off because that's a thing. Like, hey, mom, dad, like this girl, I'm not going to tell you that I like her, but she is amazing. She's a writer. She's, she's a teacher. She's really well, like, put together and stuff. Like, but they're obviously not going to be all like, yeah, I'm in love with her. So he's got to slide her in somehow in a conversation. I mean, so
stands to reason.
It does. And I understand it 100%. He should have just asked her though, because I will tell you, and I've said this multiple times before on this podcast, as one who has written stuff and as one who studied English and had to write things, writing is a different ballgame. You are taking your baby, what you've written, and handing it to strangers for them to rip it apart. Number one, it's a very vulnerable thing. If you are a writer, you will know, and you will probably agree with me. Like, it is very, very hard. I mean, and I don't know if it's because when we write, we're pouring our souls onto paper, and once it's written and once it's sent off, you can't get it back. It's a very precious thing. And even if it's fiction, because you're still putting your soul in there. And that is the story Elizabeth is writing basically about her. I mean,
and she said,
and
like,
Luther Brandt.
And she
Luther
said
Brandt.
What she had to deal with the last time when she did her short stories. Like,
exactly. And so that's
and
like the one layer.
Can we just talk for just 1 second about how somber Rosemary was of the toll that this is all taking on Lee, and then she mentions Lucas and that's so exciting, Elizabeth.
His mother?
No, not exciting. They both went from eligible to questionable.
Cookie?
Yeah, she went cookie.
I would take a cookie.
She needed those cookies.
Yeah, she probably needed 2 cookies, one for Lucas and one for Nathan.
Yeah.
But
all right, Caroline. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, can I just say one more thing too? The mother, like, that's the other part of it. It's not just, hey, my publisher friend, my brother who's a publisher, my sister who's a publisher.
It's his mother.
Like, okay, and that's a risk, because what if it was terrible, and what if she didn't like it, and now you've just showcased this girl who's an awful writer to your mother, who doesn't like it and will probably judge you for liking her. Thankfully, the mom loved it apparently, but still.
Can you imagine Thanksgiving if she didn't like it, if they got married?
Yeah, all the snippy comments.
Yeah.
Of like, you should have put a comma there. Oxford, comma. Honkinor. I'm done.
Okay, Caroline, what did you think?
She did have every right to be mad. Like I said, like, if a guy that I liked showed his mother something that I did without me knowing, I would be so mad. Like, dude, like, don't do that. Like, ask somebody for advice before you do it. Like, don't do it. Bless his heart. He was trying to be sweet, but bless his heart, and not the good way.
So
bless his heart in the most southern way possible.
So we go back to what I said about Nathan. Lucas is very much a man of action, and then he realizes what a big mistake he made, and he goes back and he apologizes very wholeheartedly, but
they both apologize.
But both of them very much ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so my thought on this, I'm torn. I seriously am torn, because while I do agree that he should have asked, there are so many times, because I'm a writer, I'm a budding writer, and my best friend and I are working on a novel together. And the first time that I wrote something that I shared with my husband doesn't like the show. And so I thought for sure that I was going to read this to him and he was going to start making fun of me. And he was just going to laugh at me. And I had really worked hard on this piece that I had written. It was very short, but I had worked really hard on it. And so I'm shaking literally. And I read it to him and he says, "You need to write a novel." And I went,
Oh,
pardon me? You know, it was very sweet. It was very sweet. So while I do agree that he probably should have asked, and the fact that it was his mother definitely ups the ante. Yes, it definitely ups the ante. The fact that he took it, sent it off, and then she liked it. You know, I mean, there are so many times when we as writers, we chicken out. And it's never going to be quite ready. And so for that reason, I can totally understand why he would send them without asking, because he saw talent. He knew his mother would see talent, and her reaction was a good one. If it had been a horrible reaction and then he had gone and told her, that would have been a big mistake.
do you think he would have told her if the mom didn't like it?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. I hope he wouldn't have. I hope he wouldn't have.
It would have come out, and that would have been really great drama.
Maybe, but just the fact that he showed them to his mother and then she liked them and she wanted to submit them to a publisher, that is, you know, I would have been flattered, and I would have been almost relieved that someone did it for me. And I hadn't had to go through all the sweat and the tears and the shaking of the hands. Like, here you go, you know. So, I can see both sides. That's my take.
I think for me,
obviously,
it's really,
Kaycee can't.
Well, no, it's the layer of the mother, and I think that's why it's terrifying to me.
That's true.
Again, I fully understand where he was going. It was a very sweet thing to do, and I'm not personally, like, I'm not mad at Lucas. Like, hey, like you said, do it and ask forgiveness later. But it's the layer of the mother that just like had me a little shook there.
All right, so the fact that it's the mother. And with that, hearties, we leave you with the mother. And okay, till next time, which happens to be the season finale. Dun, dun, dun. So yes, this week I will be writing that parody of How Do I Live? All right, so we will see who gets shot. I'm not even going to say my guess because nope, not going to say it. So we'll see who gets shot. We'll see what happens with Fiona, and we'll see how Lee and his sister come to terms with things, won't we? Yeah. All right. So, Kaycee, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Hallmark My Words.
Caroline, where can people find you?
On Twitter at MetaCarolineR.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Cami Drama Girl, Cami spelled Kami. On Facebook, the Hooked Hardy Facebook page, and my blog is hookedhardy.com. You can also follow the Hallmarkies podcast all over social media with Hallmarkies Pod or Hallmarkies Podcast. Don't forget to check out our merch store, which has tons, thank you, Kaycee, has tons of Hallmarkies and postables and Hardy's inspired merch, and there's even Chessie's stuff in there. So come and check it out, especially at a time like this where we can't do a whole lot of shopping anywhere else. Do some online shopping at the Hallmarkies merch store. We'd love to see you there. And also, please consider becoming a patron at our Patreon group, because that really helps us out. If you're listening on iTunes, please leave us your reviews and your ratings. And if you're watching on YouTube, which is where the fun's at, please please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And we will see you next week for the big grand conclusion. Bye, everybody.
Bye.